Red and blue lights flash behind the car. The officer approaches. This isn't an arrest, and it's not a search. It's the start of a traffic stop, and the difference matters. The officer asks a simple question. Do you know why I stopped you tonight? The driver steps out of the vehicle and answers confidently. No, and I didn't break any laws. And here's where most people misunderstand what's happening. At this point, the officer doesn't need proof of a crime. She only needs reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion isn't a hunch. It isn't a vibe, and it isn't guilt. It's specific, observable facts that suggest something might be wrong. Things like drifting within a lane, late braking, hesitation, repeated glances in the mirror. None of those things are illegal by themselves. But together, they can form a pattern. That pattern allows the officer to detain you briefly and ask questions even if no crime has been proven. What it does not allow is a search. This is the line people don't see. But sometimes that line moves. If evidence becomes visible without a search, not touched, not manipulated, just seen, that changes everything. In this case, drug paraphernalia is clearly visible in the civilian's jacket pocket. That's no longer suspicion. That's probable cause. Probable cause means the officer now has a lawful reason to act. Not because of a guess, not because of a feeling, but because evidence is plainly visible. At this point, the situation becomes more serious. The civilian is detained. The evidence is secured. And this is where many people think a search just happened. It didn't. This was a seizure based on probable cause, not a search under reasonable suspicion. And here's another critical point. Probable cause does not mean guilt. It doesn't decide the outcome. It simply allows the investigation to move forward. What happens next depends on the situation, a citation, an arrest, or further investigation. Confusing reasonable suspicion with probable cause is how people make mistakes that escalate situations unnecessarily. Reasonable suspicion allows an officer to briefly detain and ask questions. Probable cause allows an officer to take action. Different standards, different powers. Knowing the difference matters. Stay smart, stay free.